All right, we're going to go ahead and start this briefing on the Horton fire. This is a 2 o'clock briefing. We've had some numbers and updates that we want to change. It gives you some encouraging updates. But before I do that, I want to recognize that we've got county officials here, and we also have Senator Ballard from Senate District 45 here. And the Senator went down on the fire line earlier today, got to meet some of the firefighters that are fighting the fire, and also meet some of the homeowners that were down there. And we thank the Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Hageman, and the County Manager for allowing that to happen. And we'll give you some updates here. Firefighters overnight have been battling the fire, establishing and working on structure protection, as well as shoring up containment lines. And due to their hard work and efforts, we're able to report that the fire is now grown a little bit, grown to about 900 acres, but it is now at 65% contained. Potential growth inside the containment area may continue to grow, so you may see numbers increase throughout the day, and those numbers, depending on the burnout operations that will be done, may increase from anywhere from 1,350 to 1,500 acres. There are currently 26 different agencies involved in responding to this fire, both from the firefighting perspective as well as law enforcement and emergency management personnel. There are actually a number of crews that are from out of state, including all the way from Arizona, Florida, and New Jersey. So right now, currently, boots on the ground, there are approximately 125 emergency management, firefighters, law enforcement personnel fighting this fire. Priorities remain structure protection. Last night, many of the homes had engines assigned to them strictly for structure protection. That strategy continues today. There are burnout operations around the homes that are going on, depending on the fire weather conditions, that are being done specifically to protect those homes and to allow fire to be burned safely around those homes, so that if and when the main fire comes through, it hits what we call the black and does not actually continue to those homes. As of right now, there are no structures that have been burned. Containment of the fire continues to be a priority, as well as firefighter safety. One message that we want to get across is that we are very thankful to the community, especially during this time of Thanksgiving, near Thanksgiving, of all the donations that are pouring in. And we would ask that you know that we do not need any donations at this time. If you would like to donate, Incident Command would recommend that you donate cash to the Red Cross. That expense will offset costs of the response. There has been a smoke health advisory put out by the Public Health Department. I'm going to go ahead and read just a couple points off of that, and we will have this published on the emergency blog that we have set up, which is hortonfire.blogspot.com. Just a couple things to point out, that if you have issues with inhalation, just make sure that you read through this release that we'll post. Limit prolonged and heavy exertion outdoors. Try to keep the air indoors clean as possible. And if you have any concerns at all as to updates, there's a website that you can visit, www.ncair.com. So I encourage you to visit there for updates regarding public health. Well, one other item that we want to mention is that there are some areas that still are under mandatory evacuation. The Sheriff's Office still has deputies down there patrolling the area. They will be removing anyone that does not live in that region, and Sampson Road continues to be closed. So if you live in that region and you're not in the mandatory evacuation area, you can show identification and get through. Anyone else will not be allowed through. And we ask that you please avoid the area, because there are ongoing fire operations happening, and many of the areas, those roads are on steep terrain. Many of the areas are one engine. Some of these fire engines are very large, and you don't want a looky-loo getting in the way and causing an issue with the traffic. So without further ado, I'd like to have the Incident Commander, Brett Triplett, come on up, and he's going to explain a little bit more about the strategies that are underway today, a little bit more about the air resources that you may see, air resources that may be doing some drops very shortly. So, Mr. Commander?
Hi, Brent Triplett, the North Carolina Forest Service Incident Commander, as well as Kent Graham. He's also Joint IC here in a unified command with Blowing Rock Fire. I just want to echo some of the things that was said. I want to thank all of the firefighters for all of their hard work and effort. They've been doing this firefighting in very tough conditions, and they've done it safely so far, so that's our number one priority. I also want to thank the outpouring from the community. They have been so supportive of us through all of this. This has been taking place, all of the fires in western North Carolina since all of this began. Our emphasis today is to continue to try to gain containment. We're doing that with support of aerial resources that have been very critical, as well as firing operations along Fire Tower Road. If the weather, much of our success depends on the weather and what the weather throws our way. So the firefighters are working hard, and we're hoping that the weather will cooperate with us as well. Kent, you have anything else to add?
Just that they're aware of the air operations.
Yeah, again, there are a number of aerial support operations that's taking place with the single engine air tankers, as well as helicopter drop supports to support that line and make sure we're able to hold it when the fire approaches those areas. The emphasis has also been on structure protection. There's a number of structures that's inside the perimeter of this fire that they were able to protect, as well as hundreds of homes around this particular fire. So if we're not able to keep it contained, there's going to be a lot of homes and structures that would be threatened in the future, and we're trying to plan for those 48, 72 hours out. And I would be willing to take any questions at this time.
What's the biggest challenge right now? From the other fires in the other part of the state, we've been hearing about, getting engines to certain areas because the roads are kind of narrow, maybe some wildlife issues. What are some challenges you got to face?
Access is always a challenge in this kind of terrain. The biggest challenge that we would have, I would say, is resources. Although we've got a number of resources that came in from all over the United States and all over North Carolina, that we're still in a shortage for resources as far as firefighting is concerned. So just staffing, the volunteer fire departments of North Carolina have really filled that gap for us and came in to help us with those resources, but just getting the proper resource for the correct job.
Any indication that this was intentionally set at this point, or other thoughts on how this started?
It's still undetermined and under investigation.
Those single engine aircraft, have they started flying yet, or they can come later?
They are currently flying now. Again, those are primarily 800-gallon single engine air tankers, and they're supporting the operations in and along Fire Tower Road, Duggar Fire Tower Road. There's two, and that's what the operations section feel they need right now. We can get more if we need them. There's currently two, as well as one helicopter with bucket operations.
Do you have a determination of when you think it might be fully contained, or is it just you have to wait and see what kind of progress is made hour by hour?
Well, and it is an hour by hour thing, because just one spot or slop over across the line in this kind of terrain can make you have to back up and rethink your plan hundreds of acres at a time. But if things continue, if our operations continue successfully as they have, and the weather continues to cooperate with us, possibly we may be close to containment by Friday.
Now, is the fixed wing air support coming out of Hickory, or where?
It's coming out of Hickory. Is the fixed wing. They have to land and pump those aircraft full, but there's also the same single engine air tankers out of Morganton as well. There's 6 others there.
Where are you getting water from? Hog Lake?
For those aircraft,
yeah,
they are pumping them full at Hickory Hangar and Morganton. They have to land and they're pumped full.
Yesterday during the briefing, they pointed out on the map that the fire was still burning toward the east. Is that true today?
Yes, that's correct. This Duggar Fire Tower Road, this is the center of the operations. There's a number of homes there, but this is where the fire has not reached there. So they're having to bring their burnout with them down the Fire Tower Road and protect those homes at the same time.
Is that the only section on the map that the fire hasn't reached?
There are other smaller sections in here. It's not just uniform.
But that's the largest.
That's the largest.
Okay.
That's correct.
Do you have an ETA for that fixed wing air support?
It's currently here and dropping. It is, yes.
Could you talk about the need to support these crews emotionally as well, especially as they work on this through the holidays?
Yes, it's a very tough thing for them to be away from their homes and families at this time, but firefighters are a dedicated group of folks. They know why they're out here. Folks seem to be holding up well, but you can start to see it in their faces that some folks are on day 20, 21, and we all just try to encourage each other as much as we can.
And and there have been some possible arson reports in the area. I mean, what would you say to just reinforce this burn ban and an abundance of caution with people who live around here?
As far as what was that on arson reports?
Yeah, the burn ban, there have been arson reports. What would you say just to the community to really practice an abundance of caution right now?
Well, certainly we don't need any more fire starts of any kind, so if folks would please observe the burning ban that's put in place. If you have any information concerning fires that were intentionally started, report that through your local law enforcement agencies and ask them to get that to us.
Take one more question for the incident commander.
I just wanted to clarify, or go ahead. Because I can ask you later. Go ahead.
We had the incident commander yesterday who said he's never seen anything like this. Have you seen anything like this before?
As far as the scope and scale of the number of fires that are taking place in the mountain region of North Carolina, I have not personally seen that, just number of fires. Fire behavior, yes, we've certainly seen fires this intense before, but not this many, and just the scope and scale of it across the region. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you.
As we wrap up here, I just want to reiterate where the public and the media can go for the most recent updates. We have an emergency blog set up. It's hortonfire.blogspot.com. All of the media releases, all of the updates that we are posting will be posted there. Updates from this briefing will be posted there shortly after we're done. We also have a Twitter account, Fire Horton, and you can also get updates on the Watauga County Emergency Management Facebook page. There's on the emergency blog, there is a map. I would venture to say that the majority of questions that we get from citizens is, where is the fire in relation to my home? You can find out that answer by simply going to hortonfire.blogspot.com and look up, there's a map there. You can plug in your address and see where your home is in relation to the fire. So we thank you for your time today, and we would ask that you just keep your thoughts and prayers in for the volunteer firefighters, for all of the firefighters that are on here today, but most importantly the volunteers, because the efforts last night and the efforts today are largely done by volunteer crews. Thank you.